this is not my favorite part of the job, but very, very important to get it prepped properly before you put the first coat of paint on there. I'm just using kind of a medium grade sandpaper block, and I'm just going to go over the whole thing with the medium, then go over it with a fine and vacuum it all off, and then I'll be ready to go. Make sure you go the same direction as the grain wherever possible, because although you might not notice anything right away if you don't do that, it will show up later and it'll not look very good at all. It'll look all scratchy. Now I'm starting the painting portion of the project, always going into those recesses first. And I would rather do 3 light coats on a piece than to put too much paint on it at once and have it run and be thick and ugly. So your first coat is not going to look very pretty, especially when you're going over a really dark wood like this. So just keep that in mind, that you're more than likely going to have to do at the very least 2 coats, unless you're painting over a previously, painted piece that's painted in very similar color as what you're doing. Most important thing, of course, is to start off with very clean wood. You want to have cleaned it real good, sanded it, vacuumed it, wiped it down. Some things you just can't go back and change, and that's one of them. Okay, I have 1 coat of paint on everything, and there's the cover for the clock face. And of course, not nearly done. You can see that first coat doesn't cover very well. And I'm going to let this coat dry completely and then come back out and put the next 2 coats on. But I'm pretty sure it's going to take 3 coats for this piece. I just used a regular 2.5 inch paintbrush, except for when I got up here around the face, because I had to be super careful. That face is just made of paper, so I had to be super careful around that. Part of that is covered up by that piece, but not all of it, and I didn't want it to look sloppy. So anyway, I'm going to show you once I get it all done, but it kind of gives you a little idea of what it's going to look like as a shabby chic clock, and I think it's going to be kind of cool. Did I say 3 coats? It ended up taking 4 coats. I'm going to let this dry for a couple days before I touch it. This is an air-conditioned garage, but the air conditioner doesn't keep up too well because, it's just a big garage, and it's just a little window unit type air conditioner. I think it went pretty well. I think it looks pretty darn good. Not perfect. It's never perfect. You want perfection, you'll probably have to get someone to professionally spray a piece for you and, pay a lot of money. But if you just want a new look and a little project for yourself, you can do this. So there we have it, 4 coats of paint, and in a couple days we'll give it the antiqued finish. Okay, so we're moving on to the fun part, the staining part of it. I actually did this 3 days ago. Really wanted to let it get real good and dry and set up since I had 4 coats of paint on there. That was probably way longer than I really needed to, but anyway, I didn't have time to do it anyway before now. So I am using the Varathane wood stain, oil-based. And of course, using my handy dandy sponge that I love. The color on this is called Early American, and I just did my coffee table in the same tone with the same colored paint, and these two items are going to be in the same room, so I wanted them to match. And of course, the easiest way to do that is to use the same exact tones on them. I really wish I had something to pour this into, because this doesn't quite fit in my can, but I'm just going to make do. And you're just going to rub that on, get that really smushed down into those recesses. It's the great thing about that pointed sponge, is it gets down in all those little edges. And especially in these areas that are really ornate, you want to make sure you use that edge of that sponge to get a good amount down in those little crevices, because when you wipe it off, you want it to stick down inside those crevices. That is what is going to make your piece really pop. Even though this is a very subtle antiquing, the Early American stain is not overwhelming, not much of a contrast really, especially as much as I wipe off of it. Now you just want to go over everything with a, I use just an old t-shirt, just use a real dry one, and give it that final wiping and take off in certain areas where you want it to show through a little bit wider. And then you just want to let this set up for a couple hours before you do the polyurethane spray. That's it.